Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls coming to you from the West Coast. Today I wanted to share a couple of cards. This is it's a very simple way to make what looks like a Cener Stepper card, but you don't have to slit anything. You don't have to figure out any measurements because it's multiple pieces of card. So I don't know if you can see, but it looks like a stepper card, but this is solid. So these are two different pieces, and so it makes it really easy to put together in different sizes, because these are different sizes, but they're made very similarly, see? This one I used some paper from a Crafter's Inspiration magazine from Crafter's Companion. These flowers are the Altenew Gardenia layering die set, which I've used before in other cards. And I just cut it with some, on each of the layers, on some white shimmer paper, and then inked it with a little bit of light pink opaque pigment ink, just to give it a little bit of depth, and layered those on. And I'll give you the measurements for this one, but this is the size that I'm going to make. This one is 5.5 by 7 inches tall, so it's a little bit bigger card. This one is 6 by 6, so this will fit in a 6 by 6 envelope, whereas this one you need a little bit bigger envelope. So to make this one, I'm not going to make this, but I will give you the measurements. To make this one, this base card is 5.5 by 5.5, so you need a 5.5, or you could do a 6 by 6 if you wanted, but it's 5.5 by 11, and then score at 5.5 to make that base card. Then to make this step, because I didn't have a huge piece of paper, it's 5.5, and then it's 1.5, 1.5, and 1. So it's 4 inches, and I scored at 1.5 and 3. And then if you open it up, you can see where I glued it. Actually, I did a 1/2 inch glue tab there, but you could do a 1 inch glue tab and just glue that onto the front. So here's my 5.5 by 11 scored at 5.5. This piece was 5.5 by, I would do 4, 3.5 or 4, and you score at 1.5 and at 3, and then you just glue that onto the front to make that little step. And you could glue it onto the outside or the inside. And then this piece is 3.5 inches wide by 11 inches tall, and I scored at 7 and 8.5. And the reason you score at that 8.5 is so that you get just a little bit of a bend. I don't know if you can see right here where it's bending when you open it a little bit. If you don't score there, it kind of flexes weird and it doesn't really work too great. And then I just attached the flowers on there, and that gives you, this panel is 3.5 by 7. So if you have some bigger elements or some tall elements, or you want to do kind of a, like I did here with the flowers sort of coming up and around, I think that 3.5 by 7 is nice. Whereas this one is 6 by 6, and I'm going to make this size. And so this panel here is 4 by 6, which is perfect. Now this paper is Almost Alice collection by Papers by Michelle McCarthy, and I thought this was perfect for this card. It's just like adorable, and you don't even have to really do anything more to it. I just put a little actually this is from Graphic 45, their Alice collection, and it just goes with the papers so well. So, and then a little bow, and that's all you really need to do, because the paper is just gorgeous. So if you have some really pretty paper with a nice element on there, you can do that. Now this one is, like I said, it's 6 by 6, and they fold relatively flat, pretty flat. And then you could write your sentiment. It opens like a normal card. You could write your sentiment on the inside, or if you wanted to put a sentiment on the back, then I would put another piece of card over the top of that so that it's all one flat piece. But I'm going to put mine on the inside like that, because it does open up, but it looks just like that. So let me show you how it's made. So for the smaller size, the finished size is 6 by 6. So you start with a piece of card that is 6 by 11, and you score at 4, 8, and 9.5. And then you're gonna fold it with, depending on whether you go this way or that way. So kind of a mountain, valley, mountain. And that gives you your little front step card, okay? Just like that. And that gives this piece is 4 by 6. This is 1.5 by 6. Then your front piece that's gonna go on is 4 across and it's 11 long, and you score at 6 and at 8.5. So 6 and 8.5. And then this is going to go on here like that. And I fold and burnish the top one, and this one I just kind of fold a little bit. I didn't really burnish it because, again, I just want it enough so that it kind of will do that, but I don't want it really, you know, burnished strongly. So this gives you a 4 by 6 panel. This is also 4 by 6 to mat, and then this is 6 by 1.5. So I've got some paper to mat and layer, and for this one I used the Crafter's Companion. I dug out an old one. This is the Lily collection from years and years ago, and I'm going to go ahead and mat and layer these pieces, and you want to do your mats and layers first before you put it together. So I'm going to go ahead and mat and layer these. I'll be right back. So I've got those mats and layers on, and then on my 4-inch wide by 11-inch long, I just put one strip of little foam tape on the bottom, on the front bottom, and that's just to lift that a little. You don't have to do that. You can glue it flat if you want. If you want less dimension, that's fine. For this one, I'm going to use the Crafter's Companion Lovely Lily layering dies, and I've cut them in again in that white shimmer cardstock, and then I just inked them with a little bit of orange Spectrum Noir opaque pigment ink, and I'm just going to shape these petals just a little bit, kind of bend them up, and then we're going to assemble this flower. And they layer just, I mean, the lily in particular is pretty obvious the way that it layers. There's only kind of one way that it fits on there. And if you just shape it and then bend it up, it gives you a little bit more dimension. And you can kind of see the layer underneath, but not really, but so it just kind of gives it a little bit more 3D-ness, if that's a word. Then we're going to go ahead and put our stem on. And our last petals. And I just put glue just kind of on the very inside part of it, just right here, not all the way, not the whole thing. I think it helps give it a little bit more movement and motion, which I like. Okay, and there's my lily, and I've got 2 more of them and a bunch of foliage, and then I've got a sentiment. So, but I'm going to go ahead and assemble my card first. So to do this, let me set those to one side. You want to get this right in the middle. So I'm going to start with this, and with the foam tape, I'm going to put some wet glue on it so that I've got a little bit of wiggle time. And then I'm going to put some wet glue just on the inside, just below that last fold, not all the way up to the top fold, just here. Okay. And then you want to get this on right in the middle. So you can use your glass mat, or you can mark it, or whatever you want to do. But it's 6 inches wide versus 4 inches wide, so you got an inch on each side. And then fold it over, and this should, that score line should hit right at the top of your card. And that gives you your card base. And then you just build your flowers. I'm going to use my 3D glue gel to put my flowers on, and I'm going to kind of do them again, a little bit of an arc, and they can overlap to the side because you've got an inch of overlap there. So then I'm going to put my sentiment, kind of slide it under there, just so it's half on that top card, but it's within the 6 inches. I was going to put more foliage on, but I think that's probably enough. And you're done. Pretty easy to make. It goes together pretty quickly. And like I said, if you have a pretty focal point here, either a focal point image or a focal point panel from paper, then it's really fast to go together. So anyway, it's just a beautiful card. It's kind of looks like a Cener Step card, but it's my cheating way of making it, because you don't have to measure and cut within the card. You just make it with 2 pieces of card, and you get the same look as that Cener Step card, but a lot easier and faster. Thanks for watching.